Good evening. Welcome to the November 3rd, 2015 Dayton City Council meeting. Roll call, Donna.
Mayor Bresky.
Here.
Member Deary.
Here.
Member Burns.
Here.
Member Tucker.
Here.
Member Baker.
Here.
Member Gifford.
Here.
Member Lynn.
Here.
City Administrator Giffen.
Here.
City Attorney Fisher.
I'm City Attorney.
Sorry, City Attorney Edge.
I'm here.
All rise for prayer and pledge allegiance, please. Get up. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. First of all, we'll start out with Chief Autry. Yeah, that's fine.
If you like. I'd like to take this time to honor James John Servell, is that correct? With a civilian award. This award is given to people who go above and beyond the call of duty at risk of their own lives. On the morning of October 9th, James and his wife Heather were awakened by a large glow coming from their neighbor's home. James ran to the rear of the burning structure due to the large amount of fire in the front. He had to go to the rear. He tried to get in the back door and it was locked, so he had to force entry. This time James proceeded to go through the structure in heavy heat and fire and smoke to look for his neighbors. He did find the neighbor laying on the floor. He was able to pick her up and drag her out. She was unable to help him due to her being restricted to a wheelchair. So he was able to drag her out to the back where he was met by a Bellevue police officer, and they proceeded to take her out to the backyard to a safe place. And when we got there, the patient was transported to University Hospital with minor burns and smoke inhalation. So with that being said, I'd like to give you the Civilian Commendation Award. It says, presented to James Servell for prompt and alert action, performed at great personal risk, which specifically resulted in saving a life from a burning building during the early morning hours of October 9th, 2015.
Thank you, sir.
Next on the agenda, we got a PowerPoint for the new ladder truck.
Hello. Introduce myself. My name is Brian Boyers. I'm a firefighter paramedic for the fire department here in Dayton. We cover also Bellevue. Everybody knows that. I don't know how to follow up that award, but I'll try my best. We were about 10 months ago asked to put together a committee by our fire chief through the councils and the fire board to look into the feasibility of updating our ladder truck. So what we're going to talk about tonight is about 10 months of stuff that we put together through the councils, through the fire board. We feel it's time to discuss the need for replacement of our current truck. I got a little PowerPoint show over here. I don't know if everybody can be able to see it. I'll try to speak up so that everybody can kind of hear me. But maybe. All right. So our current ladder truck right now, it is a Suffin mid-mount quint. What that means is it is a pumper and a aerial ladder, and that it's a mid-mount ladder. It was built in 1993 by Suffin Corporation, and it's been in active duty for 23 years. Currently, some of the issues that we're having with the truck is that it is unusable in a lot of locations due to its size. It's a very well-built truck, and it's been a very good truck for us. Unfortunately, it's just sometimes we're not able to use it. One of the reasons that we're not able to use the truck is we do a lot of inspections, pre-planning, checking hydrants when we're in. And the only thing we can do that in is our engine right now, because we can't get this ladder truck to all the places we need to be. And what typically happens is if we're out in the engine for a first responder or any of those other things we just discussed, and a fire comes in, the ladder stays at the firehouse. So it just kind of sits there and it's unusable. That's one of the main reasons that we would like to update it also. The maintenance for that truck right now, it's getting old, and right now we're spending about $20,000 a year to maintain that truck. Some of the issues we're having, it's getting so outdated the parts aren't even made anymore. So we have to have specialty parts made, and that's just costing us a lot of money. Out of service days, because of maintenance, in 2014 was out of service for 37 days. So that's 37 days that fire truck or ladder truck was not actually in the city of Dayton. We called around trying to find out what we thought the truck was worth, and they're kind of telling us somewhere around the $30,000 range. Speaking with some other people, that I have a feeling that number is going to be far-fetched. I think if we're able to sell it, it'll be a blessing. It's because it's hard to get rid of old fire apparatus right now. So and I apologize, some of the members have already seen this, but through the committee searching every fire apparatus out there, different makes, models, types, what we've come up with that we feel was the best for the cities of Dayton and Bellevue would be what is considered a single axle rear mount quint with the shortest wheelbase possible. That was another thing I didn't speak of. One of the reasons that the current truck doesn't get around the streets very well is it's so big and it's long. And these old streets that were built way back when, they just don't allow, big fire apparatus to make the turns. So that was one of the tasks that we had. How do we find a truck that can make these turns efficiently that we need to have done? So we also went about looking for, or came up with, that we wanted a single source manufacturer to build this fire truck. A lot of fire apparatus companies nowadays, they don't make everything on the truck. They may make one part of it and another company makes another part. We felt it necessary to find a single source manufacturer that makes everything on the truck in case something happens, we know who to call to get it fixed. Also, being that our streets are also so short, we decided that one of the big criteria would be what we call short jacking capabilities. All ladder trucks have jacks that come out so that you can put the ladder truck up without flipping over. We felt it necessary to find a company that has the capability of short jacking their truck so that it doesn't go out as wide as it would normally go, but still be able to use the ladder. The last thing we want to do is pull up in front of a house and not be able to use the ladder. So we did find a couple manufacturers that we felt that fit the criteria very well. And also, and we're very, fiscally responsible. And we understand that, price is a big issue. A couple of the manufacturers we went and looked at or talked to, and we just had to throw them out right away because they were well above where we knew we could, where we needed to be to possibly make this truck happen. So those were some of the things that we came up with that we felt that we recommended that if we were able to purchase this apparatus, that these are the things we need to meet. So with that being said, I know this is a big number. We went to multiple different places. We sat down with 3 different manufacturers and actually looked at all the stuff that they offered and basically built a truck. When I say built the truck, not every nut and bolt was exactly, but when they asked us what do we need, and we told them what we needed, what we wanted, and they said, okay, well, this is what you need, this is what we come up with, and the dollar figures are very, very similar from all the stuff that we've received. One of the apparatus that we received, this is just an example of that, that number came back at $685,973. So I know that that's close to $750,000, and it's a big number. We also just recently found out, that after looking at an apparatus that somebody brought down to show us, was that this number was a little higher than the truck that they brought us to show us. And I said, well, how can this be? And there is an industry standard in fire apparatus that every year they go up, just like every other cars and trucks go up. They go up. And I have to apologize at the fire board meeting, I misspoke with a 2% average. After speaking with them again, they're telling me that the 4% is almost what the average is nowadays. The gentleman that gave us this number here, he showed me where he just built a fire truck for Company A last year, and they ordered another one this year, and it's 4% higher for no reason, exactly the same truck. So, but he also informed me that this is something that we hadn't even discussed with him yet, was that the NFPA, which governs what a company is allowed to do when they build a fire truck, the National Fire Protection Agency, has some changes coming out in 2016. And that governing body tells them people, this is what you have to do to sell a fire truck. Well, some of the changes that they came up with so far, from what the manufacturer told us, is more things on the manufacturing end of how they deliver the truck to you, to the buyer. But they said it's possibly going to be a 7% increase. So, and I know that that's a big number to think of there too. You're talking almost $50,000 in an increase after the first of the year from this number you see here. So there's something to keep in the back of your minds. Another issue that we were the first task was find a truck that'll work for us, get everything together, and then we were brought to us, how can we make it? How can we pay for it? How can we, as a fire board, through the cities, come up with a way to finance this truck? I know up here it's probably going to be kind of hard for everybody to see because there's a lot on that slide. But basically, we met with our treasurer, Bernie Pfeffer, and we had a meeting at his bank, and he did some research on some numbers for commercial loans and came up with a 3.78% interest rate for an 84-month term. And those monthly payments came out to about a little over $9,000 a month. So yearly payments would be about $112,000 for the whole truck. Now, being that the cities of Dayton and the cities of Bellevue split the cost of the truck, we're looking at a potential of $56,000 per year per city for 6 years if we want to buy this fire apparatus. So we started thinking, well, how can we justify this money? Well, our ambulance right now, Medic 280, it's about 3 years old, and both cities are currently paying the term off on that. It will be paid off in October of next year. Right now, the city pays $24,000, say $25,000 per city per year for our ambulance. If we were to place an order for a fire apparatus before the first of the year, and that's an important number because things are going to go up a lot higher, and I can't guarantee these numbers after that, we wouldn't have to make a payment on that fire apparatus until it's done, and it takes a year to build. So we started looking at that, well, we figured, okay, well, by that time, the medic unit will be paid off. If we take the money that we're paying on the medic unit right now and figure out what the difference would be, we're looking at about $31,000 more per city per year for 6 years to pay that truck off. And I know that that's also a very big number to think about too. So, and lastly, there's been an agreement that the cities have been I'm not sure the proper term, but the mayor may be able to explain this better than I. They said that they're going to put $36,000 per year away for apparatus replacement in the future. Out of that $36,000 right now, that's what they're paying the squad off with. So, if we look at that $36,000 and if we kind of factor that in here, it's only about $20,000 per more per city if they're able to use that fund. Like I said, I'm not exactly sure how that fund works. But that's what we came up with as far as the payment options. And lastly, first off, we wouldn't even be up here. The fire board members have approved for us to come here and ask for this to happen. We wouldn't be allowed to present this to this committee unless our fire board voted on it, which we presented something similar to this to them. They had a unanimous vote. Everybody voted in favor of moving it forward. They asked us to bid out the fire apparatus, so we're in the process right now of bidding it out to companies where companies can look over our bid specs, say, yes, we can meet it, no, we can't meet it. If we can meet it, here's how much it's going to cost to bid. And then they also, with that, they allowed us to come here and present it to them, or to this council and to the community. And obviously, like I have it up here, we feel it's necessary. It's having a ladder truck in your community is very important. One, it helps lower your ISO ratings, which lowers your insurance cost. It just makes things a lot easier. We didn't happen to have, a rescue on the second floor. It's just a lot easier to have a ladder truck to do those rescues than it is a portable ladder from the ground. And like I said here, the fire board approved us to go out for the bid. And then lastly, I guess from the way we see it on our end, we are hoping that tonight this committee, the council would approve for us to move forward with this and to enter into a contract with a apparatus company hopefully for us the greatest thing would be prior to the first of the year so that we don't have to be concerned about them raising the cost of the truck. That's pretty much all I have. Does anybody have any questions about does anybody from the committee or from the council have any concerns that I'm not covering or?
When are your bids due back?
Well, from what I've been told about, apparently being the type of organization we are, we're technically not required to do the same bid process as somebody who was just a city organization. However, our attorney, the fire board's attorney, advised to recommend following the same procedure. As far as I know, the procedure is 2 weeks, or is it 3 weeks?
We'll advertise for a couple of weeks.
Yeah, it'll be a 2-week advertisement, and those people, the manufacturers that want to respond, have the option to do so.
So have you done that?
We have the bid spec completely done now. We're just awaiting the approval or we had 1 or 2 changes before we actually send it out to the manufacturer.
So you would anticipate by next month you would have all the bids in, I would say?
Yes.
Okay.
Brian, well, I got a couple questions for you. On one slide, you said the truck was out of service for 37 days. I think I was right.
Yes.
What did the fire department do for those 37 days? Did you get a loaner from someone, or
No.
so we was really down a whole apparatus,
Yes.
and both communities was
Yes. We would have been
Not
relying
being
on
protected as
mutual
well as they
aid,
could be.
So instead of that truck being there in 4 to 7 minutes, it could be 10 to 15, 20 minutes before they would be there.
The other question you put up there, you thought the trade-in value on the truck was $30,000. That seems a little bit high to me, but the
Yes.
question, what would you, maybe you have to answer Chief this, what are you anticipating doing that the money's?
I'll let the chief answer that if he would. We had discussed that a little bit. I think we had originally talked about, hey, can we recoup that cost and use it? But it sounds like from what we're being told, if you do sell it, it's going to be a miracle just to sell the thing. So any dollars that you would get off of that, I believe the chief has said it may be a good idea to try to buy some new equipment for the new truck so that, in the past, sometimes what happens is you afford a new truck, but then you're putting all old stuff on it, and then you're just playing catch up of getting new equipment and everything.
And I agree, I think if you're gonna buy this new truck, then take the monies that you're gonna get from the trade-in and use it throughout for the fire department, for apparatus or whatever, I don't care what it is. Just don't put it in your budget. I think you just use that money for whatever you can use it for.
So what do we need to do, Bert?
I have
I have
a
some
question.
questions.
I got plenty of questions. Who's got a question?
I got a question. You talked about the MFPA standards could add 7%.
Yeah.
Is that on top of the 2 to 4%?
No, that would
So
be-
You're saying in lieu of
Yeah,
would be
'cause I
anywhere
called,
from 2 to 7.
yes, I called him and I explained it because at the fire board meeting there was some discussion. Well, that's a really big number for them to increase it. We don't think that's going to happen, and if it does, there's some negotiation there. So I called him and asked him, and the salesman that I had talked to just for this particular piece of apparatus, he was very adamant that that's things that they have no control over truly. I asked him to come tonight, and then I changed my mind because I knew that we have to put it out for bid and everything. But steel goes up, aluminum goes up, everything, all the commodities go up, and then they're not going to eat that cost. We know that,
Right.
so it's going to be put on us.
So you want the council disapproval to go forward and get your bids, or would you like?
From our end, it's a year-long process, and we're at this point now. We would love to hear the committee say, "Yeah, we're going to make this thing happen for you guys." So move forward the process, get the bids back, and let's move forward with the truck. But I know that requires you know, that includes the approval of spending the money.
There's still some financial questions we have to ask our finance committee, I believe.
Yeah, so first off, obviously,
Pardon me.
we understand that from a percentage wise and rate increases wise, there's a little bit of a timetable for the end of the year. But the city council, what I would recommend at this time, we haven't had enough time to, it's not just a fire department. This is a lot of money that affects every single department of the city of Dayton. So we need to make sure that we analyze this cost and don't jump into this too quickly. I'm not denying the fact that we need something, but we have to figure out how and where it's going to come from. And we've just slowly started to touch those numbers. So I would just caution before making any decision tonight to think about what we can do here in the next couple of weeks to really get a better idea and handle on how we're going to finance this thing. I think there's a couple questions I still have on the financing end of it, and I think there's a couple different scenarios where we can adequately come up with a strategy for this. I guess, Brian, the question I have is on the financing aspect of it. It's a 6-year loan, is it a 7-year loan?
It was a 6-year loan, and the whole financing end of it, that came from Treasurer Pfeffer on the fire board. That the committee really, that was just brought to us, and he said, you know, this is how I feel that would be the best way to go about purchasing the truck. Now, that doesn't mean that we can do a 10-year loan or.
Right. I think that's what I would be, from my perspective, would be interested in knowing what flexibility we have with loan terms and maybe even interest rates from other financial institutions.
Right. But I think
that out to see what options are out there.
Right, but I think that can be worked out. I think this council has to approve them to go ahead and get the bids, because even if they get the bids, they'll be back for the next council meeting, and then we can start talking about what the real number is.
Didn't the fire board already approve them to get the bids?
Yes.
They're gonna get the bids, that's already passed.
So I think we
I don't
just
think
need to
we-
have a finance committee meeting before we make any decisions.
Yeah, but I think they need a bid amount to find out what the finance.
Right.
They've already approved
We're
that.
already gave them that okay to do
Okay,
that.
then we need to get,
They need to get
they
that
need to get
done.
the bids back to us and see what kind of money we're talking about, so we can figure out how length of the loan that we want to take out for this truck.
Where if we don't do, I just want to make this statement. If we don't do something now, it'd be tonight or the December meeting, we're just putting off and putting off and putting off. If you have a bad roof and you keep on putting off and putting off, you're gonna get problems. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, we put off buying equipment for the fire department ever since the merger came. Now we're behind the 8 ball now. We got to do something.
Well, Bill, I think we will, but I think we need to look at it first.
I'm just saying, if we don't do it tonight, we gotta do it in the December meeting. That's my point.
Well, we gotta do it in a timely
Right.
manner.
That's my
because
position.
They're behind,
the key right
behind the increase.
Yeah, we just can't go out and throw money at it. I agree with you, Bill, something needs to be done, but we gotta make a wise fiscal decision on that.
My position is, if we don't do it tonight, we gotta do it in December. That's the only thing I'm saying.
All I want to know is everybody on council in agreement that we need a truck?
Yes.
I think we definitely need to.
Can I have the
It's just
floor,
a matter
sir?
we need to see what it costs.
Okay, that's fine. So we're all in agreement that we need to go forward with this.
There.
It's a 27-year-old, or however many year old apparatus, yes, I believe, we all believe we need a new truck. That's not the question, though. The question would be, do we approve it tonight? I don't think that's
No.
necessary yet.
No.
I'm sorry, but I thought Councilman Neary had some questions.
Yeah, but he was talking, Ben was talking.
Uh-huh.
I'm done.
Chief, 5 months ago, you came to us with a 5-year plan, and I applauded you for that, and I still do. Put a great plan together, and this truck was part of that 5-year plan, okay? And at that time, that meeting that night, I asked the city to put together a 5-year plan for what the city's needs are. Yet to see that. We've got a public works building that's sliding down the hill. We're gonna need pay increases for police to keep our better police officers. We have a lot of other needs in the city. I don't deny that we need a new ladder truck. I go back to your last slide, Mr. Boyers. How do we pay for it? How do we pay for it? You're talking about, and if you're talking about I believe I figured it out at a 7-year loan at that interest rate, you're talking $50,000 just in interest. So it may come down to, instead of how long of a loan, punting it down the road, no offense to Michigan fans, do we take it out of the reserve fund and save all that money on the interest. To take our half out of it, let Bellevue finance it theirs however they want. I think there's a lot of questions that need to be answered here, and to get this in November with the January deadline, this is a really important and very expensive decision. I think we really need to take it to the Finance Committee, figure out where could we cut more than has been cut already in this budget. We've got that. What's the status on the grant for the 3 new firefighters? Pardon me?
Still waiting here.
Those 3 new firefighters come on board in 2 years. We're going to have to pay for them.
Pay for them on the 3rd year.
Starting in the 3rd year, exactly. I think we need to take all these things into consideration here. Again, I don't deny we need new equipment. We've also got 2 pumpers that are close to 20 years old. We're looking at that. And I don't deny that maybe it's been neglected since the merger. I think all the equipment, with the exception of the ambulance, which we purchased a couple years ago, was inherited from the merger, correct? And I've gone through the interlocal agreement. Quite frankly, there's nothing in the interlocal agreement that addresses equipment purchases. Who's responsible for them? All it says is the cities are responsible for the operations. I would call on our representatives on the fire board, and Mr. Gifford and Mr. Baker. One of you two will be serving as chairperson next year because it flip-flops between the cities. I would ask you and the chief and the entire fire board to put it on your calendar for next year to bring in NKADD or somebody. This interlocal agreement expires in 2021. I think it was great. It was a great design to merge the 2 departments. We had 2 chiefs and assistant chiefs. It's outdated. It's 15 years old. I think it needs to be totally revamped and brought back to the different city councils to make sure that it works for the cities. Because right now, it's.
Those councils agreed on the line item for new equipment. That's the 36,000. Those cities agreed on that.
And that's not in the interlocal agreement.
It's been agreed on, and
it should be.
the money's going into it. I mean, you can put something onto it, but.
Right, that's a secondary point. I think the interlocal agreement for next year needs to be, like I said, bring in NKADD who did it in the first place.
We're in agreement that we need a new truck. You guys are going to go get bids on it. We're going to turn the rest of it over to the Finance Committee. Danny, you head up the Finance Committee. Get a committee together. Let's get the numbers back. Let's start working forward, work this thing forward, okay?
Right, and I think if they can get their numbers forward for, say, the 10-year also, and get that together as soon as you can, and then we can.
When is your finance committee meeting?
We can set it up.
We'll settle.
Okay, just something I
When you get
caution
your numbers.
with the numbers that we get from the banks aren't going to be guaranteed.
No, we want numbers from what it costs for this truck.
Oh, okay,
The only numbers
okay.
we want.
Yeah, we can get that.
Which
Well,
apparatus
also-
are going in and how much, and then we'll see how we're gonna finance it.
Well, I'd also like to see if you can get some numbers on different loan options. Obviously, you got the 6-year loan option, and we understand they're not gonna be definite numbers, but at least gives us an idea of
Yeah,
what to look
that's what Mr. Pfeffer wanted me to make sure everybody understood, that the loan wouldn't be for a year from now. So interest rates
It
could
could- yeah, it
go
could change
anywhere
tomorrow.
from wherever from a year from now, just be aware of that. So, what I'll do is we'll get the bids back out tomorrow. We'll probably have it done.
That's my question. Technically, when you do a sealed bid, we would send this out to the manufacturers, receive our bids back, but usually you have, you award a contract. So, I mean, are we gonna be in a position of just telling manufacturers that we're gonna do a sealed bid just for your numbers, but we're not gonna move on it?
No, you
I'm
have,
not sure.
you have a sealed bid, and you have an opening, and then you take it under advisement, and then it has to be approved that that's the bid you want. So no, you don't have to tell them nothing right away about it.
Okay, I just don't wanna put the cart before the horse on the sealed bid if we don't have an approval from the city of Bellevue and Dayton to allow the fire board to go into contract.
This is part of the thing that we need, Bellevue and Dayton need, is those numbers, so.
Okay. So we'll look at advertising, on a sealed bid, and then we'll have
We
that.
should have it
We have
in
to
2 weeks.
we have to negotiate, Bellevue and Dayton has to negotiate, because you're talking more than the 36, you're talking somewhere around 50. So we gotta make sure that Bellevue's on board with us if we decide that's the number. Or we may decide that we need to move this thing out from a 7 to a 10-year loan, or a 15-year loan, whatever. We need to still negotiate with Bellevue while we're negotiating this thing.
Well, we'll have those numbers in 2 weeks. Does that work? Anybody have any other questions?
I have one more question for you, Brian. Purchase this vehicle or not? What do you anticipate, you and the chief and the rest of you guys, when's the next piece of apparatus is gonna be to be changed? Because I know some of them trucks have been there 20 years old.
today. I mean, both engines are 20 years old.
That's exactly what I'm trying to get
And
across.
that's one reason that Mr. Pfeffer advised to do a shorter term loan, because he's thinking we need to get a new, we're gonna need a new ambulance in a couple years, we're gonna need a new engine in a couple years, we'll just say that.
Yeah, but the thing of it is, if you take all the money and make a short loan on it, you're tying up all your money strictly to pay for that truck. If you stretch out that loan, you'll have extra money that we can put to the side in case the ambulance, when the ambulance does lay down again.
I'm completely, whatever you guys decide on the finance committee side, we're just here to get the numbers for you, and then we'll let you guys figure that stuff out.
Just in reference to your question, if you don't mind, and I've had a chance to talk to Brian today, but I actually went to a meeting last night with our secretary, a grant meeting, which is, we did put in for a grant for this truck, to not have to have the city pay for it. We did get denied on that 2 weeks ago. That grant period will open back up before the end of the year, and it goes out another 10 months. So we're going to keep applying, because we know that if we buy this piece of apparatus at the end of the year, we're still going to apply for vehicles every year. And we've got a good inclination of what things we need to add to our grant. So there's a possibility that we could be awarded this time next year a 95% federal grant and get another new truck, and it's only going to cost the cities. I think I did the figures last night during the meeting. If we were awarded another $700,000 grant from the federal government to replace another vehicle, to replace the truck, we would essentially only have to ask the cities for $17,000 to get a $700,000 vehicle. And then if that's best case scenario. So a year from now, we could have 2 brand new fire apparatus where we really only paid for one. The ones that the city funded, and the 5% match is all we have to pay, because we're a smaller community, so we only have to pay 5% of the grant match. So we are going to keep applying for these grants to try and purchase, to replace the engines. And we're going to be replacing with twins. I think it's the best way to go, because that's the reason we can get them everywhere in the city. So that is something we're going to keep doing.
Thank you.
Anyone else on council have anything to say about this? All right.
Thank you.
Anything? City administrators report.
I have nothing.
Thank you. City attorney's report.
I have nothing to report.
Okay. Consent agenda, approval of the October 6th council meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Jerry, second by Danny. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Approval of the October 20th public hearing and council meeting.
Make that motion.
Motion by Bill,
Second.
second by Ben. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. This next one is an ordinance and an order. Ordinance 2015. What this is the closing of the abandoned and unimproved portion of Lower Belmont. What this is going to be a first reading only, and this thing is going to go to planning and zoning tomorrow to get their feed on it, and then it'll come back in December for our vote. So would you read this number?
City of Dayton, Kentucky, ordinance number 2015, number 11. An ordinance closing and abandoning a portion, a 40-foot wide unimproved portion of Lower Belmont Road. This ordinance closes and abandons a 40-foot wide unimproved portion of Lower Belmont Road and abutting property owners known as 604 Belmont Road, 611 Belmont Road, and 103 Belmont Road.
Thank you. First reading. This is order 2015-15R Renaissance Funding Award for flagging Dayton's Main Street project.
City of Dayton, Kentucky, resolution number 15R. A resolution authorizing the city to receive Renaissance Funding Award from the Department of Local Government for the flagging Dayton Main Street project. Be it hereby ordered by the City of Dayton, Kentucky as follows. Section 1. That upon application, the City of Dayton has been awarded $2,500 to be used for flagging Dayton's Main Street project by the Kentucky Department of Local Government. Section 2. That the mayor may sign and execute all necessary documents to effectuate this project including but not limited to a memorandum of agreement, number RM15-03, between the City of Dayton, Kentucky and the Department of Local Government.
Need a motion?
Can we get an explanation on
Yeah,
this?
we will. After I get a motion in a second, and I'll get Anthony to explain the whole thing to you guys.
I make a motion, we adopt resolution 15R, is it?
Motion by Bill, second by Jerry. Anthony, will you explain this?
Yeah, so at about right at what was it, beginning of September, Councilman Neary, requested that we kind of decorate the avenue as Home Fest approaches. At that same time, the Main Street Department of Kentucky and the Department of Local Government teamed up and had funding. Since we're an accredited program, we could apply for up to $2,500. So I submitted a grant application suggesting that we would buy flags, as what council had kind of inquired about earlier this year, to put down the Main Street. That way we don't have to go to the VFW and borrow their flags every time we want to flag the Main Street, and we can kind of create our own image as we choose. The grant does specify that we would do kind of a third American flag, a third of state flags, and then we would design a city flag and do that a third. Obviously, we can do ceremonies with it, whatever you guys desire. So that's what the grant was written as, which I think would look really nice and visual. And with our post office not being here, something I'm working on, I think we've lost a little bit of our identity. We got a lot of it back with the museum. I think creating our own flag would really add to that. So that was another purpose in writing the grant. So that's really what the flagging of the Main Street project is.
Is there any funding, matching funding or anything required from the city on this?
I kind of wrote it up in a way that expressed man hours from Public Works to install the flags. There is some funding required because the flags that I got priced was a little bit over the $2,500, but obviously there is Main Street money that we've earned from fall festivals that we can use for that. So it would really, the only thing we would need from the city, if we look at Main Street as an independent department, would be the man hours from Public Works to put the flags up.
So it's not a matching grant of
No.
$2,500?
It's
Okay.
straight $2,500. You do have, it is reimbursement based.
Understood. Thank you.
Any other on council have any remarks on this? Roll call, Donna.
Member Tucker?
Aye.
Member Baker?
Aye.
Member Gifford?
Aye.
Member Lynn?
Aye.
Member Neary?
Aye.
Member Burns?
Aye.
So ordered. Report heads, Donna.
Everybody has a copy of the financials for the month and the check register. And I just want to let everybody know that the taxes are due this Friday, November 6th, the real estate taxes.
Thank you. Anthony.
To begin, I just want to say thanks to all my volunteers and all my vendors for helping me put on the Fall Fest last month. I think the vendor fair special was fantastic. It was really easy for me, so it really goes to show how much work volunteers put into it. We had great entertainment. We had a lot of fun for the kids there, so I appreciate it. Especially all the vendors that came out. Civic Club, a few churches showed up, and obviously we had museums from the region show up, which really added to stuff for the kids, so that was really exciting. So again, I appreciate all the help with that. But I'd also like to thank Public Works. They really bring a helping hand today. So you guys, I sent my CCAP report to you. You should all have that. It's kind of a newer design report. I realized that my original report, the way it was designed, opened it up for a lot of questions and ambiguity. So I hopefully cleared up any questions you may have. Some of the highlights, we've technically only spent our promise to grant it 20% of the fiscal year's funding thus far. From the current statistics, for every dollar we've spent in CCAP or granted, we've encouraged or gotten $8.77 from private funding. So it's an 877% return on investment. with the calendar year coming to a close, obviously I think there was a kind of a lull or a gasp of interest. A lot of rents are coming due, contracts, so we are getting a lot of increased interest in the program. It's really starting to get out there, people are aware of it, and more I get calls every day, people requesting how to get into it. So it's definitely successful, I can say that thus far. Obviously, come come January, we'll start doing a review, and come March, we'll present a full-length review. Any recommendations we have for changes as that continues to approach. Kind of on the same end of that, I'm sure you guys have read the articles, or may have read the articles of the microbrewery coming into town. We're supposed to acquire that, or it's supposed to open in 2016. I really think that opens up Dayton's Main Street for a very, high-end tourist area, with Covington, Newport, and Bellevue both having microbreweries. Dayton would be the end of that. Even Ludlow has a microbrewery. So it would create a really nice touristic trail if we can get that in. So microbrewery, obviously, there's not, no offense, Caitlin. There's a little bit more catering businesses than there are microbreweries. So me and Michael are working pretty close with Michael Schuler, the owner, with all the regulations he's going to have to jump through, and making sure that he can get into town with, without a hitch. Obviously, we expect some bumps and road. Lastly, the museum always open the second and fourth Saturday of the month. We're not quite sure about this fourth Saturday, given it falls right after Thanksgiving, but we will let you know as soon as we have a meeting and confirm someone can be there.
I think if you can get the volunteers, a lot of people are coming into town that have moved away to visit family. It might be a nice chance for them to visit.
Thank you, Anthony. Good job on that, Paul.
Anthony, I just got one question, man, and it's not a question, it's a comment. I think, because I didn't understand that till I had the meeting with you.
Yeah.
On the rental abatements, you said that they try to get rental abatements for 3 years, but they have to go through the process every year.
Yeah,
I
so
think that's very important to let everybody know.
Yeah. So it's not as rigorous as the process of the original application, but yeah, they have to meet certain guidelines and certain standards to maintain the grant. So, absolutely.
I just want to point out, Anthony, I've had people from other communities come up and say how we're kind of the leading example and tools on our Main Street program to bring businesses to Dayton. And as we see businesses like Case thrive, new businesses come in, Purple Poulet is supposed to open up here by the month's end, and the poultry place and the other shops. Congratulations, kudos to you for helping us be a leading example.
Thank you.
Chief AFL.
Just a couple things. The statistics for the month of October, they're on our Facebook page. If you guys want to get on the Facebook page, it's just statistics on what the patrol's doing as far as like business checks, arrests, calls for service, things like that. That is on our Facebook page. Two things. Neighborhood Watch is Monday, which will be November 9th at 7 o'clock at the Dayton Baptist Church. Something we're looking forward to, probably the first of the year, is we're going to try, and I'll get with some people with the Neighborhood Watch, is try to do some type of fun event for each thing. We do have a officer who's RAD certified, which is rape, aggression, defense for women, which is, some of them call it the red man suit. It's defensive tactics and things like that. We're looking at possibly putting on a class sometime in January, around the next Neighborhood Watch meeting. For other citizens, Campbell County with Dayton Police is going to be putting on a Citizens Academy again, which is a yearly event that we do. It's going to start January 12th. It's a 13-week period. I don't know if anybody's been through any program yet. It's citizens throughout Campbell County, Cold Spring, Highland Heights, Dayton. But it is a 13-week program. You'll go through, so you probably tour the jail. It'll be firearms training. Attorneys come in. The Commonwealth Attorney comes in with judges and speak. They do have a segment of SWAT. SWAT guys come in and kind of give you demonstrations, investigations, and things like that. it's a pretty neat experience. So that will be output when we get definite applications ready. Hopefully by next meeting, I can tell you where to go. But it's just something that's coming up in the next couple months. It's Citizens Academy. The other thing was we had a complaint of some speeding up on River Point Drive, which is up on Dayton Pike. We did a speed study. I gave the council what the results of the speed study was. The survey was conducted from October 15th through October 22nd. The survey registered 2,586 vehicles. Of those vehicles, just a brief explanation is the results showed that 89.6% of traffic is traveling 20 miles per hour or under that speed limit. The speed limit up there is 16 miles an hour. So in all, out of the 2,586 vehicles surveyed, we've had 11 vehicles that were going over the speed limit. So I will get with the homeowners association up there and let them know kind of we just got this back a couple days ago. So I will, the average speed I think of all the vehicles I believe was 17 miles an hour. So I will share that with the homeowners association. She's been in contact with me, so I'll share those results. I figured I'd share them with the council and to the citizens that we were looking into it. We've actually sat up there, watching the stop signs, and me personally, I sat there 3 specific occasions, and saw roughly about 25 cars with no violations. Everybody stopped at the stop signs. So we did have a lot of details up there, just trying to keep an eye on the area. I think the last thing I do have is just with the Department of Criminal Justice Training puts on a class once a year. It's called CJED, which is called Criminal Justice Executive Development. It's something that chiefs and soon-to-be chiefs or lieutenants go through just to learn how to do policies, do budgets, how to work with members of your department, how to develop leadership. Sergeant Tony Baldwin got accepted to that class. He'll be actually going next week. It's 5 months. It's a week every month for 5 months. There's only 25 people in the whole state of Kentucky that get to go to this thing, so it's a pretty neat thing that people from Bowling Green, chiefs from Bowling Green, Lexington, Louisville get to go. So we're pretty fortunate that we're able to get Tony in there. So congratulations to him.
Could you do that traffic study on Urban Terrace? Or, no, seriously, or 6th and Walnut?
8th and Urban Terrace.
Yeah,
We can do.
That's all the complaints I hear
Yeah.
about, especially in those 2 areas. Can you do it there?
Sunday morning.
People
We can
cruise
look
down
at-
that
yeah.
avenue.
Yeah,
trying
we'll
to
take
get
the
that light.
complaints in, and then we can do surveys. Like I said, the equipment doesn't belong to the police department; it belongs to Fort Thomas. So I got to get with those guys. It's their equipment; they have to set it up and run the statistics. So it's just something to keep an eye out. It was used out in the county a lot because all the county roads. Everybody would say that everybody was speeding on the roads. Well, there's just not enough officers to address these traffic issues. So we had to put up a traffic study to see if there's actually an issue that needs to be addressed. So that's what that tool is for. So we will look into that.
Well, I know Bellevue's got the unit. In fact, they had
They
it
got the
down.
big, yeah. This is a big unit. This is something that's non-detectable. It's a black box. It is radar, but you don't see it, so you don't know whether it's there. And that gets a real good. I mean, you have people that see that box, and sometimes they'll pedal, hit the gas just to see how fast they can get hot, and it doesn't register a good, accurate amount. So what we do is we have a black box, and it's you can't see it, you don't know it's there, and that gives more of an accurate thing. But that is a deterrent that I have looked at. Fort Thomas, Bellevue, and the Department of Highway has one also. Just a bar to stick out, possibly on the avenue, just to make people aware of the speed. So that's basically what that's for.
I just want to make one comment, Dave. I want to congratulate you and your whole department, because I look at this report and the first thing that jumps out at me is 50 arrests. I know that's a high number, but that means somebody's out there doing their job, and I compliment you and your staff, and also the 23 warrants. Somebody's out there doing their job, and I compliment you and the whole police department. Thank you very much.
I appreciate that. Also to add, If you look at previous months, if you go on the Facebook page, look at the previous months of suspicious persons and vehicles. Actually, it starts to increase every month. So people are getting involved, which we try to preach with the Neighborhood Watch, just to try to give people the confidence, in the tools to call in complaints. And I think this month we had 62. Last month we had 58. Prior to that was 44. So people are getting involved. They are seeing suspicious activity and actually calling. So we do have a lot of people out there watching. So it's I believe the Neighborhood Watch is working very well, and we just need to get more members.
How's the Centicard app working for Dayton?
Centicard app it's still working good. We did have a couple bugs. The company's based out of Florida. We weren't able to access some of the tips. I think it was for a week period. So that's been resolved, and it's come to the point where we've had it for roughly almost a year, where we might have to relinquish some of the options, like a video option. That's something that you have to pay extra for. And really, we haven't had anybody send us a video in this time, so it's really something we don't need. The pictures and the actual tips itself are, this is all free, so it's paying off. And why pay for something if it's not being used? So it's still being used well. And again, Fort Thomas is using it too. I think there's only 2 around here right now that are really using it. So it's working good.
Good.
Thank you. Thanks, Dan. Keep on.
Good evening, Mayor, Council.
Good evening.
I just had 2 things to add to my report to council I submitted last week, is that the firefighters are out now winterizing fire hydrants. So you'll see them out and about. And then also, starting tomorrow, since the construction will begin, start demolition on the bathrooms. We have a dumpster in the alley. So I'm in the office probably hearing some ruckus. That's about it. Any questions on my report to council? Thank you.
Thank you. Communications, unpaid communications. Anybody got any communications? Okay. Standing committee reports, finance, member Lang.
Nothing at this time, we'll wait till we have that meeting in a couple of weeks.
Public safety, member Gifford.
Nothing this time.
Thank you. Public works, member Burns.
Nothing this time, sir.
Parks real estate, member Tucker.
There was a park board meeting last night. A couple of things discussed where they're going to start putting out bids for some upgrades and repairs kind of at the park, some concrete work, and looking at the bathrooms and concession stand. They're going to try to get these things rolling through the winter, and hopefully by spring they can have some things done. That's all I have.
Joe, I mentioned I still have the drawings for the original bathroom reno, and I believe the contractor said, obviously within a certain amount of time they would honor those. So if you all want to take a look and revisit them, I think I've got those.
Yeah.
Personnel law and training, member Neary.
The committee met for the discussions on the revisions to the personnel policy. We're making quite a few changes to the personnel policy with the intention to protect the city and mostly protect our employees. Trying to build in an appeals process for the employees so it can be elevated. Of course, we're limited by KRS with the classification of our city as far as what the council can do, what the city attorney can do, what the mayor can do. But that's the intention behind our changes on that, is to protect the city from any possible lawsuits and our employees from any possible retribution. And also in there, we're trying to improve our hiring practices as far as advertising for positions. And we should have that. Tom just got done with the second draft, which we have to have another meeting for to go over the changes that were requested and double check and make sure that there's not any other ones that we want to make changes to. And I'm sorry, you have a question, sir? Okay, I hope to bring it before council in December, in our December meeting for first reading. I imagine, Attorney Edge, we have to have a first reading and then a second reading approval, correct?
Actually, I'll have to double check into that. I'm not sure that that's going to be the case.
So we could do it in one.
I think it's going to be as in order. I need to double check before it's
It
presented.
wouldn't be an ordinance, it's just a policy.
Yeah, it's just a policy,
That's what they
so
say.
you would only need one reading because then it's just an order.
Gotcha. That's all, sir.
Economic Development, Member Baker.
Yes, sir. I've been meeting with local business owners down in the industrial zone as well as Main Street to see if, make sure that everything's working okay for the city and that we're easy to work with and that we can help their businesses grow. Thinking about beginning a Dayton Business Association. And Garrett from Fast 10 class even mentioned something about a job fair, which I thought might be beneficial to the city. Where he has open positions, he's going to make sure that Dayton citizens have a great opportunity to grab those jobs. So I want to keep people abreast about that, moving forward with that. So get it going.
Petitions, anybody got any petition? Unfinished, audience, anyone in the audience like to speak to council?
Leslie Carr, Pine Street. I'm sure a lot of people are aware of the saga from the trash next door in my rental apartment, that started August 28th was my first complaint. I'm pleased to say that everything's cleaned up, and currently the one condition that does exist has a citation posted on the building. That's what I wanted to hear. I want this landlord to take responsibility for his actions. Bill, am I interrupting you?
No, I had time.
Okay. So I'm pleased to hear about that, but I do have some questions about the code enforcement. Understand the position is open. It has been advertised as of October the 2nd on Career Builder. When was the position vacated, may I ask?
When Annie was terminated, is that what you're asking?
Oh, she was terminated, okay. And what date was that?
Off the top of my head, I don't know. September, end of September.
Okay, so I know on October the 6th, I spoke to someone and I said, you should go into the city building and apply. There's a code enforcement job that's open. When this individual went in, and I have the date, I have his application right here, 10/6. He was told that there was no position. There were no listings for employment at this time. That doesn't jive with the fact that October the 6th it was announced that night at the meeting.
If she left on the end of September, we might not have posted that until after October 6th.
But October the 2nd, it was advertised on Career Builder. You can go back and you can see the day that it was posted. October the 6th, this individual was told that there were no listings for employment.
By whom?
The description I got was there was a young girl in the office and there was a slender young man with glasses accompanying her. So I think I know who fits that description. But then that night it was announced at the council meeting that there was an opening. But to say that we're going to advertise our position so much better, paying $10,000 to build a website, it was never listed there. Now, I've seen past employment opportunities there. I remember when the Main Street manager position was advertised there. Over the summer, there was a police recruitment position advertised there. And that stayed up even after a month when the applications were filled. It's never been advertised on our city website. I think that's a great opportunity that's free for us. So somehow somebody must have, is there a responsibility that someone is supposed to update the city webpage?
I've had several discussions with individuals about the website. I've had discussions with some council members on improvements that need to be made to the website. To answer your question, when we rolled out the website, at that time, it was Joni and I that were doing most of the initial updating on the website. When Joni left, it came into my hands, and then when Anthony came, we tried to share duties. It's one of the things that, unfortunately, and there's no excuse for it other than it's just one of the things that has fallen by the wayside as we're trying to juggle positions. Obviously, we've moved Anthony into the code position right now. So the time to go around in a given day is limited, and unfortunately, the website has suffered because of it. We are going to get better at that. As I said, I've had conversations with how we can improve that. When we get a code director in that position, Anthony and I will be able to still be able to share time on that. But unfortunately, it's just one of the things that, I know my way around updating a website that I've just learned over the last couple of years. When you don't do it for 4 months or so, it takes you a while to kind of get back into it. So quick fixes turn into half an hour, an hour fixes. And unfortunately, through no other fault, then it's just one of the things that has fallen to the wayside. But we will get better at it. I've got a strategy in place on things that can improve with the website. If there's no excuse for us not putting that job on there, I'll take responsibility for that. It's something we're going to do better at, and that's all I can.
How many
promise you.
applications have you had for that code enforcement?
Well, if you count the ones that we get on Career Builder, it gets up into about probably close to anywhere from 60 to 80. These people on Career Builder, they just mass send out resumes. So maybe 1 out of every 10 you get has the intention of actually wanting to apply for that position, where the other 9 are just sending them to anything that's open. So we usually obviously get more on through email, through Career Builder than we do anything else. I'd say we got probably 60 through the email and probably 5 hard copies actually submitted, and one of the applicants we actually reached back out to that was in the running for the position back in February. So one of them we took a resume from our previous stack.
Okay, so the interviews started on what date?
We did them all on one day. It was I don't know the exact date, but it was probably 2 weeks ago, Mayor.
Yeah, that's like Sunday.
Week and a half
But
ago.
in September, what was the position that you were interviewing for? September the 9th, you were interviewing.
Probably for a public works position, if I'm not mistaken.
That was never advertised on the site or anywhere that I'm aware of.
It was advertised
Where was it advertised?
in paper and on Career Builder.
I'm not trying to hold you to task. I'm just saying these are simple steps. And if we can't get past these small problems, how are we going to tackle the larger ones? And I'll get off code enforcement now because I finally got the results I wanted. But it took months. And it was clearly a violation, and I reread the ordinances. And when I reread the nuisance property ordinance, I realized that a landlord's license can be rescinded for 3 garbage violations. That is how our ordinances read.
Yeah,
And-
unfortunately, though, in that case, it was never written up for a nuisance ordinance. It was written under property
Correct.
maintenance.
Let's get on this. And the code enforcement, or, you're calling it the city inspector position, has the right to inspect properties in between tenants. Now, when you have a red light that this is a red flag building, there's garbage, there's reports, by emergency responders of the filthy conditions. And, the police have to fight the possums to go out in the yard. That would seem to me to be a legitimate cause to have to inspect that property before it's re-rented. So I said I was gonna leave it alone. I am gonna leave it alone. Thank you.
Thank you.
Justine, did you want to address council?
I just got a short update, yeah.
Go ahead.
Evening. Do a very lengthy update, and will not go over lots of it, just want to highlight a few things. For our Lincoln Elementary site for our 21st Century After School program, we are now serving 81 elementary students, grades 1st through 5th grade, and we are going to be serving 100 students by January. These are all teacher referred, and some are parent referred as well. We're targeting students that are academically need a little bit of extra help. So that's really the primary focus that we're doing. And along those same lines, we are always looking for volunteers to help. We have a lot of students that just need that one-on-one time. And I will tell you firsthand, math is not my subject, and I promise you, don't be scared off. It's totally okay. And a lot of students, they just kind of need that person to just help them stay on task. So if anyone is interested, they can always go on our Facebook page or just come find me at the school or one of our site coordinators. We're always looking for people. We're also really trying to work with Dayton High School as far as their students. We have currently 6 students that are hired for our Lincoln After School team. So we're getting them early jobs, and they are working in our after school program. And that's been wonderful. So, and then with Dayton High School, they just recently teamed up the high school seniors, ran a haunted house. It was October 30th, and they raised almost $700 to give Christmas gifts to Lincoln Elementary students. So they were really excited about that. They wanted to even do a couple more fundraisers to raise even more money. They were really excited. It says in here they worked for about a week setting up this haunted house. All of them got together, and now we're in the midst of cleaning it up. So there's fake blood and guts everywhere. It's really nasty. But we've also, they have a lot of other fundraisers that I think they're going to be teaming up with the Y to do. And so we're really getting a lot more seniors involved, which is really exciting. And it says in here we have the YMCA, in conjunction with 21st Century Grant, has served 222 students out of 418 students who attend Dayton High School, which is huge. A lot of which are staying after for that first hour, which is homework help. So in conjunction with YMCA staff, we pay teachers to stay after school to give that just extra help. And we've additionally opened up on Fridays to help serve these students, where before we were just doing Monday through Thursday. The only other thing I want to put out there to people, and then I'll follow up on whether it's Facebook or something else, we would like to have some additional advisory council members from the city, parents of students that are utilizing our programs, so that they can give us just feedback and ideas, things they'd like to see. These will be meetings, whether it's once a month or just quarterly. We will, make the meetings at times where it can work for everyone. But we really want to get some input, and this will be for, we're going to do Lincoln, Dayton High School, and the Teen Center all combined as one advisory council. So if you're interested or know anyone that's interested, just get a hold of me one of those ways. Last thing, family dinners. We partner with Bellevue High School. Dayton High School and Bellevue High School work together for their after-school programs, and the last Wednesday of every month they hold family dinners that are for the entire community. And we want to eventually be able to do that at Dayton. It's just a matter of spreading the word and getting more people involved. But I'm going to throw that out there for you to try to mark on your calendars for this coming last Wednesday of the month. Actually, what date is that? Because that's, okay, no, it doesn't conflict with Thanksgiving, so we're good. Last Wednesday of the month, this month, put on your calendars to come to a family dinner where students, our middle school and high school students, are going to be cooking. They cook everything from scratch. They usually do a theme. I think this time they're doing something with ham, like baked ham and like mini pumpkin pies. It's amazing. They do really great things. Becky Bess, who is the cafeteria manager over at Bellevue High School, she supervises them and brings in the recipes, and she does a fantastic job. So we would love to see community support with that. So mark it on your calendars, and I will be putting out a ton of advertisement for it. And that's it.
Ms. Ryan, how long have you been at the YMCA?
It's a little over 4 years now.
So a lot of the kids that are now seniors, class of 2016, were in your program.
Yeah, it's really exciting to see. I saw Austin Klosterman, who lives right across from the YMCA, was presenting to the school board on something. And speaking of, the schools are doing actually fantastic. I'm going to get you all the data for that. The schools are doing really great. But yeah, they're getting old. And that means I'm not getting old now, right?
The reason I ask, I mean, I credit the board the administration, the teachers, the students, and their families for the increases in scores and everything over the past few years. And today I saw Dayton Independent School District announce that so far, it's only November, the class of 2016 has been awarded $340,000 worth of scholarships. I think your program has a lot to do with that, with laying the groundwork, and thank you for that.
I've just got a question regarding a public records request and what the procedure is for that now. I recently submitted a request to the city clerk and was surprised to receive a letter from the city attorney. I was getting sued, telling me my request was denied and telling me I needed to ascertain and create the info I requested. Well, it was heavy legal jargon, and so, you know, and deciphered it and found out that he was actually asking me and stating Attorney General opinions that public agencies such as the city of Dayton are not required to gather and create and supply info not already in existence. And my question is, I don't know what format you refer to, but do you mean to tell me there's not a spreadsheet that exists that would show salary increases for city employees?
Not in the manner that you requested, that it doesn't exist.
So I have to be like as specific as attorney requirements are in the Attorney General.
No, you just have to ask for documents that exist. If we, and you can do it broadly. I gave you some broad categories in that letter
understand that.
as
but
examples for it. It wasn't,
I
you know, I was
thought,
trying to be helpful to you and try to give you, here's what you need to ask for, and that way you can get the data.
I thought in the
Looking.
vein that you asked it, that what I had asked for would have been something that would have been shared out with council, and that would have been something I would have seen. I mean, was that not shared out in council, a piece of paper showing? That's all I really wanted.
And no, the way that the pay charts are for each employee, that's done by a ordinance, and you know, I mean, if you want that particular ordinance, I'm sure that you can ask the city and that it'll supply to you. Now, as the different pay rates for each person, it's not built into one page. It's done through payroll records, and it's not systematically already drawn down to the data in the manner which you asked for.
So the key word is payroll records, and I've done that now. So I just need to know now what the process is. As I've done something, who do I give it to now? Does it have to go through the city clerk now, or does she have to go to the city attorney and then get approval to get something done now?
No, on an open records request, it still goes to the city clerk. I only responded to you to try to explain to you what was happening, where the justification was for it, and try to help you in getting the data that you wanted and how to go about asking for it.
Wherein you can see my concern was that this data should be there already. It's just probably the way that legally you want it worded versus how I did it then. So, okay, that's all I needed. Thank you. And if that isn't right, will I expect a letter again, or can you just call me on it? Are you allowed to call me down and give me what is needed, or does it have to be a letter again?
I'll check with Tom.
And we're, you know, usually it's, if it's something easy, Ms. Walters, we're gonna just try to call you. We're just gonna try to call you and get it situated if it's something that we're confused about, but, you know, I wanna make sure that you had a full understanding of the scenario in your particular instance, because it gets into a different world there.
So you're wanting to know what all city employees make? Their name and their,
Last year and this year.
what they make?
And that's public record, correct?
Yes, yeah, that is public record.
Yes, sir.
Council members, Mayor, thank you for letting me talk. I came just for one specific reason, the overabundance of deer population in the upper side of Dayton. I walk to and from work every day. I leave before dark, I come home after dark, and they're everywhere. I mean, I had one run into my buddy's car the other night because he was coming to pick me up and drop me off my paycheck. Is there something we can do, like on Locust Drive, because I live right up on top of Fairview, and I know some of the council members live that way as well. It's right, Belmont Lake is not there no more, so we took their land and they gotta go somewhere. The problem is, they're ending up in everybody's yard and it's becoming a nuisance to a lot of people in that area. So I wanted to bring it to council and see if there was something we could do, like a small barrier, so we can keep, I know there's a guardrail there. Is there a way we could attach a small barrier, a short barrier, so they don't come out in the street? I mean, you walk up that street at night, and you're liable to get run over by a deer.
On which road? On Fairview?
I live on Fairview, but if you walk up Locust, right off Silver, you walk up that street, it's insane. And I'm walking every night.
They're the same way by my house on Lincoln Road.
Yes, you're right down the street, they're absolutely insane, so I'm suggesting that maybe there's something that the council can come up with, even if it's just a small barrier, so they don't come out in the street as much.
Have you ever tried calling? Part of the problem, in fact, I've been in discussions on this lately. I live right beside Mrs. Ledger. Sergeant Park is right across the street from us. We can't have any landscaping, our yards are a mess from deer droppings. I've come out the back door from me to the mayor with an 8-point buck looking at me. I mean, it's dangerous, and we're lucky we haven't had any Lyme disease issues around here.
And the bad thing is, now it seems like this year they're taller than they ever been.
They're pretty well fed this year compared to a couple of years ago. The problem is, if you look at a satellite view of our area, especially Campbell County, all the woods kind of end at the top of our hill up here.
Correct.
Okay, so all the deer that are migrating north for some reason, they end up in our backyards going, now where do I go? I can't get down into the city.
Okay, so is there a way that we could do a public lottery to take out some of them deer, like Fort Thomas did it a few years back?
Yeah, and they've not had that much success with it, and quite frankly, that was pretty
They just go to my front yard, they can have all the deer they want.
I know, I said, so, if I go out in the woods, I can come out on my deck for a deer stand.
When I sit on my front porch, I'm afraid to drink coffee.
Really, it's a state matter, and I have been talking to some people. Some states have actually started a program with deer baits with contraceptives, okay, which is really effective. Not every deer eats it, but they don't reproduce. The ones that do don't reproduce, which thins the herds without gunshots and everything else.
It's just like abortion. You don't really want to do that.
No,
I'm kind of
it's a contraceptive, right?
There are cities that use tranquilizers too to take them out, rather than close-up tranquilizers.
I got a bow and arrow, so I can take them out. But at the same point, it's a public nuisance and it's getting worse.
See, they've got no place to go anymore.
And I think
exactly. I chase them off their land.
I've been talking with some county officials because it really is a state Department of Wildlife, Fish and Wildlife, I believe, controls that whole issue with wildlife.
Okay,
and really it has to, I mean, we need to talk to our state representatives, Mr. Keene, our senators and everything. It's a bad issue from Pendleton County on north and Boone. I put a report on Facebook last night from the Kentucky State Police that Boone, Kent, and Campbell County are by far the highest counties for deer collisions with vehicles.
So then can we add more signs?
What, keep deer crossing over here?
Deer's coming across here, you know? There's not a single sign on Locust, not one on Silver. Didn't see any on Urban Terrace all the way up to Fairview. Can we put signs out and let people know that there's a possibility there's going to be a deer coming on the road?
You know, honestly, yeah, we could, but honestly, I think everybody that lives in this area knows it. Go out Route 8, it's just as bad.
So, okay, what if a homeowner wanted to file for a public nuisance?
That you can't, it's an animal, you can't.
Well, why not?
Because you can't.
You could do it in the county.
You can't file for this on a deer. You got anything else for council?
No, sir, I was just trying to, make my point clear that we gotta do something about this. Thank you, John.
Maybe a note on that we do have someone who's looked at that. His name is Clay Smithson. I contacted him about 2 years ago. He's with Kentucky Fish and Wildlife, and I contacted him about the Dayton Pike Parkland. So he knows our area, and he himself is a bow hunter, deer hunter, big sports person. So we have contact built in. if someone would like to contact him.
Can you give me his information?
I
Because
shall,
that's
yeah.
really who we need to talk to at the
Uh-huh.
state level. Locally, I mean, Fort Thomas could hunt and shove them over here, we could shove them over to Newport.
But any advice that we would get, I would think would come from him.
Give me his.
We have to stop for a minute. Please change the video recording.
That's all I'm gonna go his backpack. Well, you know. I can't get my yeah, I came out of that office that night. And Buck came out honestly, I was like terrible the way they Buck up and down, boy, his chest got this big and he started laughing. And I'm like, back again. I'm not gonna take this.
All right, can you resume? You finished, Joe?
Yes, sir.
Anyone else have anything for the city council, to address the council? All right. Any unfinished business?
Michael, where do we stand on the bricks, the memorial bricks?
We'll get them put in this month.
In time for light update, I hope?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Anyone else? Any new business?
I guess it would be new business. I'll speak for myself. I know other council members have expressed the same. Getting agenda items 24 hours in advance, especially ordinances and orders, makes it very difficult for us for me to do my due diligence and research on any subject. I would implore the administration to get us as much information. I'm fine with getting it by email, but the earlier the better. I think if we don't get it by Friday, it shouldn't even be on the agenda for Tuesday, unless it's in a last-minute emergency. But getting stuff the day before with lots of questions really puts us in a tough spot.
That's fine.
That'd be great. Thank you, sir.
We'll cut the agenda off on Friday, say at noon, send it out. Anything comes on, it goes into the following month. Anyone else have any new business for city council?
Yes, sir. One more thing. St. Francis Cemetery, that project's been going on for a little bit over 3 years now, and I thank Councilman Burns and Mayor Poreski for coming up to the flag raising last week. Actually this Saturday at 11 a.m., for the first time in probably 40 years, the diocese is actually going to recognize the cemetery, and Father Martin is going to be out there giving a blessing at 11 a.m., rain or shine. And I don't know if anybody saw the condition that was in 3 years ago. You might go up there for the first time and think, wow, it's not in that great a shape. But the work that was done by the volunteers down there has been absolutely amazing. Joe Webb from Channel 12 did a real nice piece the other night on it, and Joe told me that the last time, he was first down in that cemetery in the late 90s when that first cleanup project started, and he was moved by how much work has been done down there and the way it looks. So if you can, there's 900 Daytonians buried in that cemetery. Some of them may be your ancestors. 11 a.m. Saturday morning for the cemetery blessing. That's it, sir.
Anything else? Anything else?
No, sir.
Anyone else? All right. We don't have anything for executive session? I need a motion for adjournment.
I'll make the motion.
Motion by Gary,
I'll second that.
second by Joey. Tucker. All in favor?
Aye.
Over.